Welcome to the Banker's Pre-Sibos video. My name is Brian Caplen, I'm editor of The Banker. I'm here with Duygu Tavan, who's the technology editor, and we're discussing some of the issues that are probably going to come up at Sibos and also that we're writing about in the September issue of The Banker, which is going to be sent to the meeting. So Duygu, I mean, Swift is obviously, it's a messaging service, and some years back it started to, it's principally for banks to banks, but some years ago it got into the corporate space. And I think you've been exploring some recent developments, haven't you, in sort of corporate bank messaging.
Yeah.
What have you been working on?
So the issue of connecting corporates and banks is nothing new, but it's been taking up a lot more interest in the past few years because there is a lot of business to be made of. So Swift has done this in 2001. It wasn't really taken up as fast as it was initially hoped for. Then last year at Sibos, SAP announced their financial services network, which is a cloud-based, well, literally a network with different large banks, including RBS, Bank of America, Tokyo Mitsubishi.
And what does that offer that the Swift system didn't then?
So it's a bit newer. It's got the banks involved in it, and the corporates know SAP because SAP is also really big in the corporate business, and so it's cloud-based, and because it's cloud-based, it doesn't actually require any new or large investment. So it would be, they say it would be easier. Okay,
but is there concern? I mean, this is a private vendor, whereas Swift is obviously a bank-owned network. So is there concern about being dependent on a private sector vendor like that?
I don't think there is any concern because SAP already has such a large market share in the corporate ERP systems market. So they've got about 25% in the whole worldwide. So the corporates already know. There are a lot of corporates that I met last year at another conference where their job title wasn't just treasurer, but it was SAP treasurer. And these people have told me that if a bank wants to work with them, they will only work if this bank works with SAP. So SAP has this large market share, and it doesn't require a lot of education or explaining to the corporates what they are, what they do, because they will already understand it. And if they can connect, the corporates to the banks, that means a corporate working with one bank and another bank doesn't need to set up two different or multiple connections. They can just connect to the SAP network and instantly have access to the different banks, and it works the other way around.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll look forward to reading that in the September issue. And I think you're also writing about, on the securities side, about the developments in the regulation and targets to securities. So what's new about that? That
seems to be a nightmare. It was announced in 2006, so it's called T2S, which stands for Target 2 Securities. There is a cash side to this, which was implemented before that, and that's already up and running. So this T2S side now means that all the CSDs will have to carve out their security settlement business, which is usually bundled up or tied into asset servicing, and have to outsource that part of the business to the ECB. So effectively, as of 2015, there will be different waves or implementation phases, but as of 2015, we should all start having the security settlement kind of like a box or an account with the ECB. That's obviously shaking up the security settlement market and changing the roles. All
right, now you said it was a nightmare, so why is it? Is that because it's difficult to adapt to the new regulations, or because it's unclear what the regulations say, or what exactly is the problem?
It's a bit of all things mixed, and it's also maybe a bit typical in what we've seen in the GTS space in terms of technology or regulation in the past few years. So there is, for instance, CSD regulation that was meant to be implemented but hasn't been. So a few people have told me that that's already been pushed back or actually forgotten about. So there isn't actually a regulation for the whole of Europe for security settlement, apparently. So that's one issue. There isn't any guideline how to do it. Obviously, as with many other things like SEPA, every country has different techniques, so the way they do it,
national regulations,
different settlement cycles. So for instance, Germany and Slovenia have 2 days to settle, but all other countries in Europe seem to have T+3, which is an extra day. So that complicates things.
Okay, so this is a common problem which we've seen really in so many EU or Eurozone regulations in terms of getting harmonization across the countries.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's also a technical challenge because the CSDs will, imagine they have this brown business, so they've got this bundled up asset servicing business, so there is settlement is just one part of it. Now they will have to break down this business that they have and give away the settlement business to the ECB and at the same time find a new value-added service. And now you've got companies like the London Stock Exchange announcing that they are going to set up a new CSD in Luxembourg because they think there is opportunity in chaos. And there is opportunity, but people will need to find it.
All right. Thank you, Duygu. We look forward to reading that. And so there's the opportunity there to read about both those issues, the latest developments in Target 2 securities and also in corporate messaging systems in the September issue of The Banker.